It's time to mind your business with me, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in to find out how to mind your business with BEDC, special guest entrepreneurs, industry experts, and more. Brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda business starts here. So welcome back to Mind Your Business. Of course, I'm your host, Jamillah Lodge, and I'm so pleased to have you, Ahmani Peets, and your father, Anthony, joining us here today on Mind Your Business. Welcome.
We appreciate the invitation.
Of course. So, like I said, welcome back. For anyone hearing your story for the first time, can you introduce yourself and tell us what Ahmani Cookie Company is all about?
Sure. So Ahmani Peets is my name. I own Ahmani's Cookie Company in Bermuda. I started my business on February 19th of 2019 when I was 16 going 17 years old. So far, I have created 167 flavors of cookies. But that's not all. I also make cakes, brownies, cheesecakes, cupcakes, gourmet cookies, and I am baking with autism. I am an autistic entrepreneur, and I am Bermuda's only Black autistic global CEO. I have 19 locations, soon to be 21. And I also share that I previously won the 2025 Best of Bermuda Award.
All right, Ahmani. So, where did your love for baking come from, Ahmani, and what made you decide to turn it into a business?
So, my dad, he introduced me to baking at a very young age. I was 3 years old. I have video of him and I making cookies. And I love cookies, especially chocolate chip. In 10th grade, my dad had a discussion with me about what career I would like, and he had an idea about starting a cookie company and naming it after me. I felt it was a great idea. We did lots of research and discovered that yes, Bermuda would be a great place to start a cookie company. At first, it was delivering warm cookies, but the orders came in very quickly, and we had to abandon that idea as driving island-wide took me away from production. We have built a vending model, and in my first year of business, I have 5 locations, such as both Lindo's, Warwick Rubis, East Broadway Rubis, and Somerset Pharmacy. My dad knew that Bermuda and the world would benefit from a business led by an autistic entrepreneur.
All right. So, in our last interview, which we had in 2023, you had completed 4 years in business, and now you've just completed 7.
Yes, year 7.
That's impressive. I know in 2025 you were an exhibitor and a speaker at the International Bacon Industry Expo. Can you share why you decided to do that and about your experience there?
So, a little bit about that. So, I am always doing research as to how I can grow my business and spread autism awareness. But here's a fact here. At least 85% to 95% of those who are on the autism spectrum, they are not employed. And I want to change that. So I searched baking shows in 2024 and discovered the world's largest baking show called the International Baking Industry Expo. This takes place in usually Las Vegas and 3 other continents. I called the director, we did an interview, and we had to complete an application process because we had to answer questions. I was selected as a vendor, and I also applied to be a speaker and was accepted. My presentation was called Creating Intentional Spaces for the Autistic Worker, and I shared with the audience that on my website that I have a free downloadable guide to hiring neurodiverse individuals and the things that you can do. We offer that at no charge to anyone to get things going for your business. It was a very positive experience as I made global connections with friends. We also met world-class chefs, and out of 20,000 exhibitors, I was one out of 2 black entrepreneurs that were exhibiting. They invented a device that you place in cupcakes and you can add a filling to the cupcake.
That's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Dad, because you have been the catalyst around supporting Ahmani and making this business come to life. So, how was that experience for you attending that expo?
Well, for myself, we know that with autism and the uniquely developing, individual that we have here, and we share with people that when they've met one person with autism,
You have just met that one person. Not every
absolutely.
autistic person is the same, and we want people to understand that.
Yeah, so one of the cool things to actually see was, who in the world is actually intentionally deciding to create spaces for autistic individuals. Those on the autism spectrum, they do really well with baking because it's consistent. do the same things,
Get the same results.
all right, and his attention to detail. He can create an environment that is suitable for Ahmani. So if it needed to be a little warmer, if it needed to be a little colder, it needed to be less sound, then that was able to happen. So we represented Bermuda.
All right.
Believe me, we represented Bermuda, and Ahmani did himself proud, his family proud, and also the nation of Bermuda proud, as we stood tall in that environment with, there's a $508 billion industry. And we stood there, and as the people were walking by, you had made thousands of cookies to give out, so people got free samples. And the more important thing was with our visuals, we were able to attract people with autism. 62 million people are impacted by autism and climbing. So we had chefs stop by and say, I remember Chef Delou. We met her from France, okay, and she was a White House chef, and she said, I said, what made you stop? She says, oh, the story. And Ani was featured in magazines and things like that. So we're able to actually meet chefs who intentionally look at hiring autistic individuals, visiting schools. He has an opportunity to present, I think it's in Michigan, to a school who was like, you know what, hey, this is what we would want to see. And how did you actually do this? So as a dad, we have to... I tell people, you got to grow your children. And when you have the unique presentation with Ahmani, who was nonverbal, who was spinning in circles, just the opportunity to see him. And he's Mr. YouTuber now. He has
I'm
his own
telling
YouTube.
you.
Also share videos as well and share my authenticity.
Yeah, so
And I'm loving it.
Yes, and you see the freewheel conversation.
I'm like, what's going on? Who is this Ahmani? This isn't the quiet.
And you were also
reserved
surprised
person.
in Vegas when I was ad-libbing.
Yeah, so he's ad-libbing and things like that. So one of the things that we know is like when an interview takes place, like we timed this interview, and so we knew with dad and son what the actual minutes it came to. And so he knows that, dad is able to just listen to a question, process it, and young people on the autism spectrum, many times they need time to what?
They need time to process the information that is being given.
Yes, and so as a result of that, we would get the questions, and then what do you want to be able to say? We have 30 minutes to say this, and what are we going to say? And so with that, we make sure we get it accomplished. So it was more than a proud moment. We learned, we have seen the show because via social media we can watch everything happen. So we watched it unfold. We seen who had been there, who comes there, etc. And I was like, you know what, we are going to go with like this distinct messaging, and at the same time to be able to just see. And so we met a guy from Italy that he intentionally hires those on the spectrum. There is a pizza place in Italy called Pizza Out. And one of the things that we choose to do in business, and I want to encourage anyone in business, is elevate each other. If you have something that you're doing that's, let's say, common, he's not going to make cookies for the world. You're going to hear something amazing from him in a little while. But it's like, what, we're in this world together. So, one cookie at a time, what's the tagline?
Well, but in your rights, we
Yes.
want people to enjoy life.
Yeah, so he was able to spread that messaging. And when he spoke to the industry, just to see him talking and communicating with Food Network, I was like,
Yes,
Go.
go Ahmani.
Guess what? I was actually interviewing other people too. What do we got here today? What's this all about?
Ahmani, I love this new.
I was like amazed because there was like so much to see.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you had the opportunity to have that experience, not just as a vendor, but also as a speaker.
Yes.
That's amazing. For Bermuda, but for you as an individual as well, and for people who also have autism. So my next question, I know you mentioned that chocolate chip is your favorite. It's also my favorite. So tell us about the Leviathan series. What is it, and what made you want to create it?
So the word Leviathan for us, it means huge. So in 2019, I was asked by a businessman named Mr. Tafour. He was purchasing my cookies at East Broadway Rubus about making the world's best chocolate chip cookie, and he had told me about what is in it. He gave me about 3 to 4 days to accomplish that task, and he said he would give me $400 to do it. When he tried the cookie, he said it was better than the business he purchased it from in New York. I felt proud to know that. I was successful. Every Friday and mostly on Mondays, at his request, when I was in high school, he would purchase them and distribute them to people in the companies that he managed. The Leviathan is a 6-ounce cookie. There are 2 tubs of chocolate and walnuts inside there. I decided with my dad to make a Leviathan family of cookies. In business, it is important to do things to stand out and be unique. I currently have 14 flavors in my Leviathan series so far. A super popular one is the Bermuda Triangle. Three tops of chocolate, Capricorn cereal, and potato sticks are in that flavor. And people really like that flavor combination. And a smaller version travels on the airline Bermuda Air each day along with many other flavors.
All right. That sounds delicious. You're making me hungry. So you have a hashtag Baking with Autism as you share with our community that you are on the autism spectrum. What are some things you've been doing to share about autism awareness?
So, to spread autism awareness, I have visited schools, corporations to let people know that autism is, it's a spectrum. And it means how you experience things in the world through your senses and how you learn, and also about how you are as a person. My autism does not mean that I am broken or damaged, but I must do things in a way that help me to be successful. And you can do this by being kind and understanding. I let teachers know that it is important to work with families who have children on the spectrum and to instruct us in the ways that are needed so we can be successful and understand you. I am very successful and I appreciate all people who helped me and also the support. My speech therapists, such as Miss Simons, Miss Medeiros, Miss French, my learning support teachers, such as Miss Dyer, Miss Todd, Miss Gilchrist, Miss Bean, Miss Tuzo, Miss Hillsmith, and also Miss Susanna Cole, who is an autism specialist. I have adopted a school called Francis Patton in honor of a person named Miss Wilson who used to work with me from P5 to M3. She was my shadow teacher, and I also have a kindness award for those who demonstrate kindness. One boy and one girl are selected in the school, including the principal. They choose whoever is going to be selected for this. They show kindness towards teachers and friends, etc., or to anyone who's around them. I do an assembly on autism awareness, and I treat them to lunch with pizza and some of my desserts.
All right. So I want to ask you another question, Dad. Because you mentioned that Ahmani was nonverbal when he was younger, and now he's giving speeches.
Yes, ma'am.
So that I want to say kudos to you because you have made a concerted effort to support Ahmani as well as all the teachers you just mentioned. So once you realized that Ahmani was on the spectrum, what went through your mind and what were you determined to have happen for your son?
Well, one important thing, and as Amani shared, when you get and we tell people because he's going to share something else that he does. So I pause and I say this: you have a gift that you're given, which is a child, and with this gift that you're given as a child, you're looking to make sure he's got his eyes, his ears, and all those beautiful things are there. But then you're building a person, and everything that you're going to do is going to impact their brain, how they feel. And so I knew, like, as we were watching Amani develop, we had to say, and I want the listening audience, to be honest as you're growing your kids to see, like, you know what, hey, there is some uniqueness here. There's some nuances here. When we use the word, this is not typical, okay? And there are some words that people use, and I don't even want to use it in the interview, but we have typical development, and then we have not typical development.
Or
And
atypical.
there you go. I like that word. Touch on that one. Chef. And that is, when you see that your child is 2 years old and they're not communicating, you see that they're taking their hands and they're waving them in front of their face. You see that when they begin to walk, they're walking on their tiptoes. You see that it seems like they have this, and we use the word in autism because I am a retired therapist of close to 40 years. There's a word called perseveration, which means like this extremely hyper focus on something. So I'm going to do it repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. That is not typical behavior. And so there's a resource called the MChat, and it's a 22 questionnaire. And we want anybody who's got a 10-month to 3-year-old, you go through this questionnaire and it's like, is this happening or is this not happening? And there are some people, who there are times they will be listening to, let's say, grandma, oh, don't worry about him, it's not, let's talk later, and all that kind of stuff. But there are some early signs. And with early signs, there's early intervention. And one important thing to do, I wanted him to talk, So I kept talking. He is just like any other person. We're typical to the point where we've got to get baths, we've got to eat food, we've got to get dressed.
Drink
And so,
water.
yeah, so we engaged him in every facet of life. The one challenge that we have many times is with our community who doesn't want to. Why is that kid doing that? You know, and we have seen recently adult interaction that in Bermuda with incidents that occur. Where like okay, the adult reaction is not making this situation the best it could be. It's just actually escalating. And so I always ask people to understand that many things that you're looking at, you just like, I don't know your full history. I
Right.
don't know. So I'm not
Correct.
just going to go up and touch Jamila. I'm not just going to go and take things off her desk. While we're doing the interview, something happened and you did what you needed to do, which was to take a pause and like, hey, let's figure this out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's okay to figure this out. It's also okay. Like we do something called priming before we're going somewhere. We talk about it. But as Ahmani, and you've seen him driving as we're moving up and down the country, there's detour. Yesterday, we're coming from Somerset. There's a police officer in the road. Go this way. I had never turned down this road in my life.
Neither have I.
So I said, all right, son, what's the best thing to do? And he said, well, follow everybody. And I was like, yes.
We had to take the detour.
Just follow the detour, go through, and like, okay.
And you get to see where you'll end up next.
Yeah. Look at this garden. We saw things we didn't see. So along life's journey, even with autism, when your child, let's say, wants to perseverate or just focus on something, we got to take a look at, well, what in the world is important to them? And those are the things that we did. So every facet of life, engage your child in.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, there are some things that he, let's say, didn't have an affinity or liking for. He would look at his fingers and I'm like, what is he looking at? And he would find the tiniest speck of something. And if
Like
it was
hair,
there,
for example.
if it was there, we could not go to the next step unless it was not
off.
there. And then that was okay. But I'd be, what's wrong with you? Like, come on, buddy. You know what I mean? And like, you know what? No. Let's just make this happen. And now we go on to the next thing. I tell him, he has been my greatest teacher to sort of understand that, yes, we can embrace the world in many different facets. And if somebody gives him a test, like there's many of this traditional testing where the outcome says that Ahmani is not very smart. We had those tests from the psychologist people out there and all the schools. Well, what they would say to us sometimes, it is what it is. And if he's not successful at this, well, and they would just leave it a pause. So I was like, you know what? And one lady sent me a text. I'll show it to you after the interview. She said, when he was in middle school, you rose to the table and you said, watch this space.
Right.
This gentleman is going to own his own business. The world will know about Ahmani. Even though we're on the spectrum, we're going to, what's the motto?
Find a way.
And we did.
You sure did. And I just want to say kudos to you because you took all of that, all the naysayers or whatever, and you channeled it into Ahmani. And right now you're ad-libbing, you're talking about stuff. And when we met way back in the day and did our first interview, you weren't doing that. So it's continuous growth is what I see. As individuals, as human beings, that's what we experience. But especially for you, Ahmani, right? Seeing you go through the challenges that you've gone through and come out on the other side, you're a successful entrepreneur. I mean, like, people who are typical, quote unquote, are not doing that. You know what I mean? So you should be extremely proud of yourself. I know I'm extremely proud of you. Okay, you ready for the next question?
Ready.
All right. So philanthropy has been a major part of your business. Can you share a bit about that?
So philanthropy is giving, and I choose to do this very quietly, as many people who have autistic children, they do find it very expensive to afford therapies and things that are used for intervention, such as purchasing tablets, sensory toys, and speaking apps I do for families. A daily thing I do is TikTok live streams so that people around the world, they can see an adult with autism who is doing very well. Many families I have met that way and have been inspired to work hard. My dad is a retired therapist, as he had previously mentioned, and he shares many things he would like them to consider doing. He answers many questions that they have. I also do events as well. My first one was called Sing for Autism, was held in 2024, 2 days before my dad's birthday, and was pretty successful. A singer on the autism spectrum who is a Bermudian living in New York, he came and performed along with lots of talented artists. I held this at my former high school, Bermuda Institute. And this year on April 26th, at Bermuda College, I will host my indoor event called Baking with Autism, which is a food festival. I have
Ooh,
8 vendors that will sell food, and the admission fee will go to autism charities.
that's exciting. So that's coming up. So we get to look forward to that. And so the 8 vendors that you chose, are those, do they also have autism, or are they just
No,
general?
they're your BEDC crew. They're your BEDC crew.
Okay.
They're at Harbor Nights. They are
Okay.
wonderful friends.
Okay. I love that. Next question, Amani. So,
All right.
being a business person, there are things you must navigate to continue to be successful. What are things you continue to do to ensure that you are?
I make sure that I market each day. My latest ad is doing quite well. People see me at work, and they see my dessert creations up close because it has all the visuals, such as great cheesecakes, there's cupcakes, brownies, and my special gourmet line of cookies. I keep on top of my business metrics as costs are always rising. I daily post up on social media to keep people informed and thank for supporting me.
Okay. Now, your cookies are now available across a growing number of locations in Bermuda. I think you said 17?
19.
19. Okay. What did it take to get there?
It takes dedication and attention to detail. With my autism, I am very precise in all that I do. I am humble and kind, and would like the world to be that way also. Also, businesses, they do contact me, and recently a hotel has contacted me about having cookies to greet all of their guests, which are thousands of them.
Ooh, that's exciting. So, I know this is not on the list,
No
but
problem.
I want to ask you about how are you going to fulfill all those orders? I mean, you have 19 locations and 1,000. Do you have like staff now?
Well, it's mainly the two of us. Sometimes I may have to work in the kitchen by myself if one person's doing another thing. But we actually have 8 quart mixers, machines where we could do double batches of cookies, double the output, and we also have high-speed ovens.
So,
Okay.
Chef, this segues into something interesting. When we went to Las Vegas, Nevada, you don't know who's walking past.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a guy that was walking past, and Amani is very observant, but
Mm-hmm.
Amani is Mr. Social, is engaging people. So I'm watching this gentleman, just watching him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was not an exhibitor, and he looked like us.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people that representation matters.
Matters. It does.
Okay, and I'm going to tell your audience, representation matters.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't believe what people say. We will do the necessary research. I tell my children, we're going to find out. So he's standing there, quietly looking, and he said, hey, my name is, and he shared a little bit about him, and he said, I'm going to tell you this. I'm the one that invented this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, have you ever, he said, this story is phenomenal. We were playing Amani's journey of autism video,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows Amani not talking, spinning in circles, and that's what we want people to see. We see
Mm-hmm.
him at 23,
Yeah.
talking, driving. He was a little guy, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very, very intense for the first, 6 years of Amani's life, and the interventions were a lot. And so as he was listening, he said, "You know what? Uh, the world needs to know this. That this is the only Black global autistic entrepreneur on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one
And
doing
in
what
this
your son
country,
is doing, and he's in the industry for decades."
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "What is that What is that deal you're going to sign soon?"
it's a co-packing deal.
So Amani soon, and we know that you have to do a lot of the necessary research.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the NDA? Non.
Non-disclosure
So we have
agreements.
non-disclosure agreements that will be signed off, and Amani's cookie company is now going to be able to be producing thousands upon thousands of cookies each day for global distribution.
Over 100,000.
Yeah, and that does not just happen. And with that,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes into a growth plan that Amani and I have talked about, and that is to be able to hire autistic talent. And so with that, and it takes, it takes the necessary work. And when we release a little bit more about this particular story and who we're going to be signing with, Bermuda will smile.
We're already smiling. I'm already smiling.
Yeah, so that was a lot of work, but we were able to get that. We're soon he's soon to sign that, his signature.
And so
My name.
all right now, Ahmani. So that brings me to the next question, which is about your growth. So I'm going to read it. Growth plans are part of business. Can you share a bit about your growth goals?
So there are a few things that we're still working on. I am still working on finding a place to have a cafe or a bakery to hire those on the autism spectrum. And also I soon signed a co-packing deal where thousands of cookies can be produced and they can go into stores in America and be distributed worldwide.
Okay. That is so exciting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm thrilled to hear that, and I'm looking forward to the update. So we'll have to invite you back so you can tell us once you've signed it and everything and how everything is going, okay? So yeah, one day I'm going to be in the States in a grocery store and I'm going to see your cookies on the shelf. That's what I'm looking forward to, right?
Well, one of the things we do as a family to potentially, our daughter is an artist. And so that card that you have to your left, I believe Amani's caricature picture is on that already. And so Amaya is going to be just doing a lot of the design for the actual packaging.
Okay.
And what's important for the packaging also is the messaging. Sure, the cookies are wonderful. They are. He's very, very precise. He's very, they will never not change as far as their taste quality is concerned. But bigger to this is the mission. On the box that you see, at first we just had the puzzle piece. Then underneath that, I said, you know what? Let's develop a hashtag that you are baking with autism. And so when people, choose, and we really, really are thankful for people around the world and locally who embrace Ahmani. The hashtag is I am baking with autism. And so on the packaging also will be Ahmani's story. And we recently, there's a mom that we recently met via TikTok that has a son who's on the spectrum that loves to bake. And he came across Ahmani's TikTok channel, and we talk and we interact every single day. And the mom was like, this is my son. We're doing some events right now, and he is ecstatic that through the screen and him and the young guy he's 21, are friends. And he we got to talk to him because he just did a major event in his hometown. And so, his mom is like, like you, I like hearing you guys find a way. And I am navigating this, trying to find a way. And she was like,
Yes. You need your community, right? Yes. And I love hearing about the plans to have an actual bakery and you get to hire other people on the spectrum to, provide the baked goods. And listen, your cookies are delicious, by the way. So that helps, right?
Absolutely.
So it helps that you have the delicious product, but also there's a message behind it, right? And I think that makes it even better. So now when you buy the cookies, you get to enjoy it, but you enjoy the fact that you're supporting this initiative that you have.
Absolutely.
So my last question for you, Ahmani, is as a young entrepreneur, what advice do you share with current entrepreneurs and those thinking about starting a business?
I share it is important to love what you do, to be an honest person, to be giving, to be willing to accept a critique, to remember always your customers, and to always pay attention to detail, and know your numbers. You must be in business and be profitable. Make sure that your customers are satisfied as well.
I love that. I think that you guys have done an excellent job getting Ahmani's name out, getting the story out. I mean, every time I see you, you are branded down. Like you got the blue and the red shoes on. You got the blue. I see you got the SCC on there. So you're repping the, you're repping the right team. So who came up with the color scheme? And was that integral to how you were going to deliver your message and your brand?
Well, we want all the messaging to
be intentional.
So you are, what other citizenship do you represent?
Well, American, because my dad's wife is from Birmingham, Alabama.
Your mom. And so, as we And I told you about being intentional. So,
Yeah.
so the colors mean something, the purity, the working hard.
Perseverance.
Yes. All of the
working
colors
hard.
represent
Yeah.
that, so that was big. And then, marketing is more than just advertising. Marketing is, can we trust you? Can we like you?
You do gotta let people know who you are, especially as a person, and
Yes.
what you do.
And that's what he's been able to accomplish. And I know, not just representation matters, but presentation matters.
Yes.
Production matters. And this is one meticulous young man. And I want to say, as a dad, thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to share with Bermuda today.
Thank you for coming on and minding your business. Listen, I'm excited because I got some sugar cookies. I don't think I've ever had your sugar cookies, Ahmani. So thank you very much. I told you chocolate chip is my favorite, so I'm usually always getting a chocolate chip. So thank you for these. And I just want to say thank you again for minding your business. Now, for people who want to order the baked goods and the cookies, how can they reach you?
www.ahmaniscookiecompany.com is our website address. You have access to it 24/7. We also ship all over the world, 47 countries. In about 2 to 3 days, or approximately, they will get straight to your door.
All right. Well, thanks for minding your business, Ahmani and Anthony. And remember, if you don't mind your business,
Who will? As it goes.
thanks for tuning in to Mind Your Business with me, your host, Jamillah Lodge. Tune in next week, Thursday at 4 p.m. because if you don't mind your business, who will? Mind Your Business is brought to you by BEDC. Bermuda Business Starts Here.